So, welcome back to the Methodical Muse podcast. I am Christine Curtis, your Methodical Muse, and I hope you are well. So, this episode 8, I got into this conversation with God, trying to better understand a few things that I was grappling with at the time, but also understanding the world that I was in, that we are still currently in. And there's so much that can be said about the book of Corinthians. And I want to preface this, I'm not a Bible scholar. Don't be coming at my neck in these comments. I'm just a woman who wants to better understand herself, but also the word and how it applies. Saying all that to say, the book of Corinthians is a beautiful blueprint. And I want to dive into how it has helped me better understand how to move in this world, but also how to be a better representation of Christ in this world. So let's get into episode 8, and it is entitled Long Live Love. I remember watching this interview with Tank, the singer-songwriter, amazing singer-songwriter. And he said something that stopped me in my tracks. He said, the world isn't afraid of our hate. It's afraid of our love. And he was speaking specifically about the relationships in the African American community, the Black community. Really about the unity and about the power of the Black man and the Black woman, and how the device is intentional, but also how it's the desired result, because the unity is what empowers us. He was talking about a household rooted in love, because when we stand in that position, when love is the force, we are unstoppable. Not anger, not trauma, love. It's love that restructures generations. It stabilizes identity. It rebuilds what was meant to be broken. And it made me think, why does culture amplify dysfunction but quiet devotion? And why did R&B have to be hypersexualized to stay mainstream? Why did hip hop celebrate the conquest versus the covenant? Because unified love is disruptive. And the scripture has been telling us this all along. The greatest of these is love. So how did we forget? For me, love has always been the goal. I never wanted to be a mother more than I wanted the whole family. I never wanted to just coexist. I wanted the covenant, the unification. I never simply wanted to be chosen. I wanted to build something sacred. Love has never been performance for me. It's always been my posture. I enjoy being a giver, a nurturer, a caretaker, a builder, helping someone else and then their own walk feel seen and loved is like oxygen. Watching someone grow because I poured into them is my reward. And I know that type of love leaves a mark. I know people still remember how I loved them. Not what I bought them, not what I posted, not how I poured. And that is the threat. Because love like that reshapes thought patterns. It plants new narratives and it helps people shift their own perspectives about themselves. I can say this because I know it. My love heals. And that's where the threat becomes the goal. How do we, or society will say, how can we dismantle that? And to be fair, on the flip side, loving that deeply has its cost. I've been in romantic relationships that were difficult. Relationships where I gave more than I received. Where I confused potential with promise, mistook endurance for devotion. And there were seasons where loving meant I was shrinking. Where I thought I just loved harder, maybe it'll fix what was broken, and it didn't. I've known the kind of heartbreak that makes you question your softness, the kind that tempts you to harden your heart to just survive. And I could have chosen bitterness. I could have chosen an unhealthy detachment. I could have decided that it wasn't worth the cost. But I didn't because I refused to let someone else's incapacity to dictate my capacity. And that was my choice. Choosing to keep loving wisely, major key, not blindly, was my strength. Choosing to heal instead of harden was the discipline. And here's what I learned: love does not require self erasure. Love does not mean tolerating disrespect. It means safety. It means grounded truth. And even when I walked away from people, I still love you, just not fully invested. And that matters. Because if we're honest, heartbreak wasn't my first, well, romantic heartbreak wasn't my first encounter with the complicated love. There were years of my life, middle school, all through high school, that most of my adult life, honestly, where my biological parents and family members weren't really in the picture. That absence heavily impacted how I loved as an adult. It created questions that I didn't have the answers for. It created aches and longings that I didn't understand. And when they came back into my life, the parents, I had a choice. I could have led with resentment. I could have rehearsed every missed moment, every missed prom, all the moments that were spectacular and special to me as an adolescent. I could have held on to that hurt. And I could have weaponized my pain. And some days that probably would have been easier, to be honest. But I chose and continue to choose love. Not naivete, not pretending that nothing happened, but mature love. The kind that says, I acknowledge your absence and I forgive you. And in this moment, I'm going to choose connection. And that wasn't weakness. That was one of the greatest powers I think I realized I possessed. Because choosing love when it would be justified not to is the strength. And that love that survives abandonment, that love that survives disappointment, that love that survives betrayal is unbreakable. And that's the threat. One of the lessons that my therapist and I continue to work on is making sure that when my heart breaks, I don't lean into shutting off. My empathy is a power that can't be harnessed outside of God. But the world tries to take that specifically because they know if I continue to move in that empathy, forgiving and moving forward, loving people and giving grace, giving people room to grow and to evolve, means I continue to love in the way that Christ loved. I continue to move into things that I'm called to. And this is where Corinthians becomes more than a wedding verse. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not boast, does not envy, it's not proud. The author, Paul, the author of the Corinthians, is not talking about romance. He was describing a discipline in love. Love is patient, especially when it's inconvenienced. It's kind, even if it's undeserved. It keeps no records of wrong, especially if they have receipts. The plea wasn't soft. It was a radical approach to love. Because love that keeps no records of wrongs breaks cycles. Love that is not self-seeking dismantles ego. Love that always protects, reshapes legacies. Corinthians isn't just poetic. It's a blueprint. And if we live that way, personally and culturally, imagine what will shift. There's a song. The song's lyrics go, imagine what faith can do. in the room. Imagine what we can do collectively if we approach love in the way that the Bible describes. Because we've been conditioned to think that detachment is power, that not caring is cool, that vulnerability is a weakness. But think about how many civilizations have been built on love alone. How many generations have your family survived through because two people decided they were going to commit to each other? Love kept households together when the systems tried to fracture it. Love kept communities together through injustice. Love fueled movements. It wasn't hate that sustained the change, it was love, which is why love unified is a dangerous thing. When we love each other well, we don't need external validation to survive. And when we know who we are through love, manipulation loses its power. And that's the threat. So maybe the real rebellion isn't anger or detachment or carelessness or casuality. Maybe the rebellion is loving wisely, intentionally, fearlessly, freely, deeply. Maybe it's refusing to let heartbreak turn you into someone unrecognizable. And maybe it's choosing connection even when you know absence is an easy choice. Because my love heals. And I won't apologize for that. If love is the greatest of these, then long live love. So, my hope for you is that you choose the kind of love that breaks generational curses, changes the trajectory of legacies, and impacts a nation. And if nothing else, I pray you stay methodical, you stay magical, and don't you ever forget that the only thing that lasts are the beautiful lessons. I'll see you guys next week.